Retrofuture.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of Radio Retrofuture. And today with me I have John Sprocket of The Cock is Dead.
Hello.
Good evening. If you like this show, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to share and, of course, comment. How are you doing, John? And what are you doing these days?
I'm doing well. I'm just getting over a cold, so forgive me if my voice sounds a little weak or anything right now. But other than that, I'm doing great. And yeah, these days I am keeping busy with various projects. Right now, I'm trying when I can to finish editing a live concert movie with The Cog is Dead that we're going to release as soon as possible. It's a full-length concert film that we shot last summer. So I'm looking forward to getting that out. It'll be available on DVD and hopefully on digital as well. And then other than that, I'm doing more music and voice acting, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But I am keeping busy.
Good. Good to hear. So let's just start with the name of the band that intrigues me very much. The Cog is Dead. You have a song about the inventor of the digital clock. Is it connected to that theme, or was it just a name that came up?
Well, that song definitely came about because of the name. The name itself, we actually stumbled upon completely randomly. I was at a friend's house, and he had some books on a bookshelf, and I picked up this book of plays. I opened it up and just pointed to a random word, just joking around, and then I said, I'm going to read the first thing I'm pointing to, and I looked at the page, and I was pointing to this phrase that said, "The Cog is Dead." And I read that out loud, and he said, "Oh, that should be the name of your band," because we were just starting the band at that time. We didn't have a band name, and I thought it was such a weird sounding name. I was like, no, that's it's too weird. But the more I thought about it, it seemed really unique, and just ended up going with The Cog is Dead as the name of the band. And this is before we were actually officially a steampunk band. So everything kind of started with the name, and as time went on, just evolved from there.
Okay, let's talk about the history of the band. How did that come about, and where was that fork in the road where you said, well, we're steampunk now, or someone else labeled you steampunk?
Really early on when we started the band, I had been doing music solo for a long time, just writing comedy music and things like that and recording on my own. And I found out my dad used to play drums years ago. So I said, well, why don't you get a drum kit and we start playing? So he picked up a really cheap drum kit, and the two of us would practice. And eventually we just wanted to form a band just to perform locally. We didn't expect anyone to enjoy it or listen to it, really. We just wanted to do it for fun. We were planning to go to local bars and just play music here and there on the side. So once we had formed the band, which was me, my dad on drums, and my friend Chris playing bass, and we chose the name The Cog is Dead, shortly after that, I was on Google looking up unique guitars, because I just had this idea that I wanted to have my own custom guitar that had its own look. And so I was trying to get inspiration for what I could do to my guitar, and I found a steampunk guitar, and I really loved the look of it. And I showed it to Chris, who was our bass player, and he had heard of steampunk at the time. I hadn't. So he said, "Oh yeah, that's steampunk. It's this Victorian science fiction style," and he introduced me to it, and I loved the look of it. I had seen things similar to steampunk, but never knew there was a name for it. So that was the beginning of my love of steampunk. And then when I discovered Abney Park, this was around 2006, I thought, wow, that's a really cool idea. We could have an entire steampunk band. I didn't even know there was such a thing out there, but when I saw them, that's kind of what gave me the idea to take our band in the steampunk direction. So from then on, we were a full steampunk band.
Okay. Do you remember the first time you performed and where that was?
Oh yeah. We because it took a long time before we performed. We initially started when we became The Cog is Dead. We were thinking of just doing studio projects, writing albums and releasing music online. But we didn't really have a lot of plans to perform. And it was kind of hard to, because most of the early band members weren't available to perform. We could get together and record, because you don't record everyone at once. You'll record one instrument one day, another instrument another day. So we could do it in pieces, but it was really hard to get everyone together and practice and go out and do a show. So the first show we did was actually 2 years after we released our first album. That was in 2012. I think it was April 14th, 2012, and we were opening for Abney Park. Uh, and it was a very small group because our bass player couldn't commit to the show, and so it was just me on guitar and vocals and my dad playing drums. Um, and really, we had turned shows down before because we couldn't get the whole band together. And at this point, we were opening for Abney Park, who were the band that inspired us to be a steampunk band, and it was just too hard to turn that down. So we said, well, let's just do it anyway. And so we carried on for a while with the live shows just being guitar and drums. That was a really exciting show, though, and it was the first time getting to meet fans face to face, because by that time we had developed a following through MySpace, and we heard from people here and there online that said they enjoyed our music, and it was exciting just knowing that there were people out there listening to the music that we were recording. But it was a really big difference meeting people face to face and seeing the excitement and hearing them tell me how much the music means to them. So yeah, that was a really special night, our first performance.
Had you been to steampunk conventions before, or were you really
No.
just a studio band and then you finally visited this convention? What was that experience like? So you got there, you never been to such a convention. Did you know?
Right.
You already know you had quite a following. So what was that experience like to meet? Well, you already said you had a friend that was already kind of into steampunk, or at least knew about it. So, did you already know steampunks, or was it also your first encounter with them?
I think that was probably my first encounter with steampunks in real life, outside of the internet. Yeah, because it was a long time coming. We had started the band around 2006, and the first show and the first steampunk convention was 6 years later. So I had been aware of steampunk as a subculture and community online, but I wasn't thoroughly involved because I was mainly just a musician. I was a fan of the style of steampunk and the look of it and the storytelling aspects of it, and I loved incorporating that into the music. But I had never actually been out to a steampunk convention or any steampunk event. So it was a really, really cool experience. I guess kind of a life-changing experience, because that was sort of the I don't know, my first foray into meeting and becoming a part of the steampunk community, which was really, really cool. I still remember my first experience on getting there. One of the convention staff members took me around and just showed me a tour of the venue and where everything was, and she was very professional. And then as soon as she was done with the tour, she stopped and then just went, "Okay, now I just have to let you know I'm a really, really big fan. I love your music," and just kind of fangirled out. And that was my first interaction with any of our fans, and it was very surreal and very sweet and exciting. It was just really, really nice to know that the music that we were just making, in my bedroom studio was connecting with so many people.
And you said you were a studio band, kind of
Mm.
like that. Has that changed now? Or do you make more appearances on conventions other than for your music?
It's definitely changed. Yeah, as of right now, we aren't doing as many only because of time and schedules. We have, it's hard for us to be available because we all still work different jobs and things. But we have done a lot of conventions now, and it's been really, really amazing because we've had a chance to let the show develop over the course of the past 3 years of performing. Especially around 2014, we started incorporating videos into our concert. So now our show has fake commercials and little segments that play in between songs, and it's become much more of a theatrical experience instead of just a show. I mean, it's still a concert, and we're still a band up there playing, but we try to make it a very entertaining experience. So we've had a chance to sort of hone our craft over the course of performing and getting in front of audiences.
All right. Okay. Well, let's get into your music. So, what was when you started with this band? Even before the name came up, what did you expect to write? What kind of music did you expect to make? And has that changed since then?
I'd say from the very, very beginning, before we decided on being a steampunk band, I think the musical direction was going to be a little bit more, I guess, alternative rock, probably with influences of punk and a few other styles that I was a fan of. And when we decided to be steampunk, it was actually exciting for me because um, I'm a huge fan of so many different styles of music, which is kind of reflected in the albums that we make because there's all sorts of different stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of changed from being just sort of a generic sounding band, I think, to a band that does a lot of different things. And and part of that is because of our time traveling theme. When we created the backstory for our band and the characters, we decided we should be time travelers because it would give us an excuse to say our musical influences are all the time periods that we visited. So we've been to the 50s and 60s and 70s and heard lots of styles, and that basically is an excuse for us to write music in the styles of those eras, which makes it a lot of fun for at least for us as songwriters. And I assume it must be at least for the fans that appreciate and get what we do because we like variety, and it seems like the people that like our music like that as well. Yeah, so it's been really fun getting to do more and more different styles and just have fun with the variety of it. And then one other thing, I think it's changed just a little bit from the first album to now in the tone of taking ourselves seriously. We do take ourselves, seriously as musicians, but we also like to have fun and we like to incorporate humor. And I think there was a little less humor early on because at the time I felt like, okay, steampunks, they're big fans of Abney Park. And Abney Park, I took, to be a very industrial, originally a goth band. That music seemed to resonate with the steampunk community. Dr. Steele, of course, he incorporated humor as well. But,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, having darker sounds and things that are a little bit more intense seemed to go over well. So I was trying not to do anything too silly. And around 2008, I discovered Steam Powered Giraffe really early on for them. Before this was also on MySpace, so this is going back a ways. And they hadn't even released their first album yet, but I heard the few songs they had on their MySpace page and loved their music. And then we've seen Steam Powered Giraffe go from the little buskers in the park that they were at the time to being one of the most well-known and well-liked steampunk bands in the world. And so seeing that kind of gave me a little more confidence in, okay, we can add a little bit more humor, I guess, because I was kind of afraid to, but people really love that, and it's something that I've always loved and wanted to do anyway. So it's kind of just allowing me to be myself a little bit more, and because I'm a huge fan of Weird Al. I grew up on comedy music, and so even before starting the band, I wrote parodies. I wrote really stupid songs and awful stuff that I used to write. Yeah, so that was kind of I guess just for me as a songwriter a little bit more liberating because I could be a little silly at times and still write serious songs. And again, that's just sort of I think the beauty, at least for me, of getting to be a band that's theme is musical variety and both, I guess, musical and tonal variety. So we can write serious songs, we can write sad songs, we can also write songs that are just silly and fun. And they all fall under the style of The Cog Is Dead and what we do.
Right. And
Sorry if I'm talking too much.
no. I am enjoying it. Let's see. Jacques asks if you're still working together with the Clockwork Knotwork.
Oh yeah, those guys are awesome. We just did a show with them in October. Yeah, I really, really enjoy what they do. And if anyone hasn't heard of Clockwork Knotwork, they're a really cool steampunk group from I think St. Petersburg, Florida, which is not too far from where I am. I'm also based in Florida. We're in Daytona Beach, and yeah, they're a good mix of like Celtic music and folk and punk, and they put on a really fun show. And in fact, Daniel, the lead singer of the band, has a he calls it the electro steam pipe. Electro steam pipe. It's basically this backpack with a bagpipe controller in it. So he's got digital bagpipes in there that he can play. It's got two trumpet horns on either side, and they blast out steam. So if you ever get a chance to see Clockwork Not Work, they put on a really, really fun show. And yeah, we perform with them whenever we can. And Daniel from Clockwork Not Work played the electro steam pipe on our song Farewell, My Old Friend, which is on our last album, Carnival of Clockwork. And they'll be on the live DVD, which is coming out as soon as possible. Hopefully December, if I can get it edited in time. If not, it'll be really soon.
Brian Oliver asks, how many instruments can you play, and how many? I think Oliver Brian means how many instruments can the other members play?
Sure. Hey, Brian. Let's see. I think I don't think of myself as like really a multi-instrumentalist because mainly I play guitar and I'm not super well. I normally think of myself as more a songwriter, and I just play the other instruments well enough to make a recording. But yeah, mainly I play guitar, mostly rhythm guitar, and then the other instruments that I'll play on the album, I'll play keyboard poorly or however well I do. I can play bass. I play a little bit of most stringed instruments. I've got my guitar here. If it's got strings and frets, usually I'm okay with that. So I've done some banjo and mandolin. The accordion, I'm not an expert accordionist at all, but I can figure out a few chords and work that in. The other band members, I know Bradley's main instrument is the bass. He also plays some mandolin and a little tin whistle. He's working, I think, on trying to learn banjo as well. And I think Renata mainly is a drummer, though she plays a little guitar as well. We did a show on the Steampunk Cruise where we all traded off. I played the bass, Bradley played mandolin, and Renata played the guitar. And we did a bluegrass rendition of Timber by Kesha and Pitbull, which was completely absurd but a lot of fun. Actually, I think it's on our YouTube channel somewhere, just a recording. But yeah, we play a little instruments, I guess, other than what we play live. Yeah, we just like to play whatever instruments we can get our hand on. Oh, you know what? Actually, Renata also plays trombone. She used to play that in high school, but I don't think she's had one in a while. But yeah.
I put the chat in screen so you can now see what I see in the chat. Montague Jacques Fromage has actually joined us in the chat.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Yeah, so what are you mentioned you play a lot of different styles, but are there particular artists or bands that influence the sound of The Cock is Dead?
Yeah, I think countless ones. For me, because I'm the sole songwriter in the group. And a lot of my musical influences, as I mentioned earlier, Weird Al, I'm a huge fan of and listen to his stuff. And of course, he not only writes parodies, but he writes a lot of original songs. And he also is really versatile and writes lots of different musical styles. Oh, yeah. Along with the Beatles and Queen are two of my favorite bands. Also, both of them really, really eclectic. Those kind of bands sort of formed my idea of like the ideal album, having highs and lows and having just a lot of musical variety. Because I don't know, I like bands that if they have a really good sound, I don't mind listening to an album of all songs that all sound the same. But you can kind of get bored pretty quickly if a band has 3 or 4 albums and they all sound almost exactly the same. Yeah. So yeah, Billy Joel, Elton John, trying to think of a lot. There's so many other bands like Bare Naked Ladies, Regina Spektor. I'm a huge fan of Danny Elfman. He also, both some of the songs he did, like Nightmare Before Christmas, Oingo Boingo, his band, big influence. It's hard to think of. I listened to a lot of like 90s punk bands. Like Green Day was one of the bands that I was really into. I still am a fan of theirs. Man, yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna forget several,
yeah.
but
well, we got a rich impression, I think. So when you are putting together an album, is there like a theme, or do you use do you take a kind of a musical period, and we're gonna do everything kind of inspired by that?
Um, it kind of depends from, I guess, from album to album, and generally, if there is a theme, it's kind of a loose theme. Like the first album, the main theme was just trying to write steampunk songs and write good songs. Songs that I think when I approach writing songs, I think of what would I enjoy listening to over and over. There's a lot of music that I really like, and so I kind of wanted to have. I wanted to make a CD that basically people could enjoy just listening to in their car, or just that they would put on to have a good time. Because I usually listen to music just to enjoy it. So theme wise, the first album has a little bit of a theme of being a radio show. So I kind of worked that in throughout. It had an introduction. It has a commercial break. And so that was the rough theme of that one. The second one didn't have much of a theme other than going on an adventure. The cover had the band flying in this car through the sky. And the most recent one probably is the closest to having a bit of a theme incorporated, because the album is called Carnival of Clockwork. So I was trying to think of ways to work in carnival themes here and there. So on the song We All Have Fears, there's a few lines about people building a roller coaster. The last song is called Life's a Carnival. They're I'm trying to remember off the top of my head now, but so there's sort of a theme here and there of carnival. And of course, the entire album isn't just about that, but I guess our albums maybe have a little bit more of a theme than just being a collection of songs that has nothing connecting them. But if there is any kind of connection, it's very loose. For the most part, yeah, they're just the latest songs that we have written and put together for an album.
Okay, and
I just try to make a good album that's a good listen from beginning to end. That's the main goal.
right. So, are your did you just recently release an album, or is there an album coming up soon? What's in the future for The Clock is Dead?
Sure. The most recent was Carnival of Clockwork. That was released almost a year ago, because that was December 1st of last year. And the next release will be the live album, which is along with the live DVD. So that's a full concert recording, basically. And that will be a mixture of songs from all the albums that we performed in concert last year. So the live DVD I'm very excited about, because that's something I've been wanting to do. I think since the time we started a band, I've always wanted to have a full-length concert film. So we rented this really nice theater and had a professional video crew come out. We had I think 10 cameras in the theater.
Wow.
And yeah, so we have it from lots of different angles. The video looks gorgeous. I'm really happy. Everybody did a great job with the filming. And it was a really big show, because it's kind of the biggest production we've ever put on, and it's really what I've always imagined what our concert should be. You don't always get the opportunity to perform in a big theater or have control over the venue as far as like lighting goes. I mean, we're always thankful to get out and perform, and we love performing at conventions. But sort of in my mind, just like a lot of the artists that I'm fans of that do tour regularly at big concert venues, sort of my dream concert has always been in a theater with the lighting and video screens set up to look very theatrical. So it was sort of a good way to capture like the perfect concert in my mind. And we had Nathaniel Johnstone playing some instruments with us, along with Tempest, his wife, doing some dancing. We had Clockwork Not Work, and we had who else? We had someone else, and I can't remember. I think. Oh yeah, Phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria is this really awesome gothic horror steampunk storytelling
I know
troupe
them. They're
from
pretty well
Orlando.
known.
Yeah, they're awesome. And they did some choreography, so they came up with some this whole dance routine to tell the story of the song Freak Show and Danger on the Dance Floor. So they really added a nice theatrical element to it. Plus, they did some fire dancing and fire breathing outside the theater as people were coming in. Anyway, the DVD will be coming out as soon as it gets done. Most everything is just done, whenever we have time to do it because we're all busy with everything we do. But I'm really excited about it. So that's the next release that should be coming out very, very shortly. And then after that, we have a full album of songs that are based on the names of people that donated, both to help with the Athens concert as well as who donated to help with a tour we did in 2013, where the prize was we would write a song using their name or a character name that they suggest. And so we have several names to turn into songs. So we're going to write and release an entire album based around that. So every song will be either about that person, some kind of fictionalized story. I don't know what the album's going to be called yet, but that'll sort of be the theme, is using people's names. So it's the Untitled Name album that will hopefully be out in the next year or so.
Please tell us how people can support you and The Cock is Dead.
As far as supporting The Cog is Dead, a big thing is obviously coming to concerts, because when we travel to concerts, we all get paid for the performances and things like that. You can support by buying the music, buying the merchandise. Those are kind of the main ways. And of course, you can become a patron on Patreon, which both supports me personally, but also supports the studio that we record in, because we all the things, not just my own personal things, but all of the music for The Cog is Dead is written and recorded here in this room. And so the Patreon keeps that going.
I'll put the links all down below.
Yeah.
All relevant links will
Like
be down in
the
the
website and
description.
Facebook and
Yes,
Twitter
exactly.
and all that.
So just send them to me. Well, this is the end of the first part, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for part 2, which I hope will be released the day after this one. That will be tomorrow, depending on my time, but it should be okay. With that, I bid you adieu, and as always, make it your way.
Much better north, where it's dry, cold, dark, and red, and I prefer green, fresh, sun earth texture.
For steampunk, for example, future is one of the greatest inspirations. It's funny how something that hasn't happened yet can inspire such huge and massive creativity.
Don't have too much respect for the old literature and play with literature. That's what I like everyone to do.
Get your stuff done. Get your stuff done. They're waiting on you.
Do it all once more. Watch me. I'm going to show you the next 2 parts right here.
north. North is dry and cold and dark and red, and I prefer green, fresh, sun earth actually.
For steampunk, for example, future is one of the greatest inspirations. It's funny how something that hasn't happened yet can inspire such huge and massive creativity.
Don't have too much respect for the old literature and play with literature. That's what I like everyone to do.
Get your stuff done. Get your stuff done. They're waiting on you.
Do it all once more. Watch me. I'm going to show you the next two parts right here.
Much better north. North is dry and cold and dark and red, and I prefer green, fresh, sun earth actually.
For steampunk, for example, future is one of the greatest inspirations. It's funny how something that hasn't happened yet can inspire such huge and massive creativity.
Don't have too much respect for the old literature and play with literature. That's what I like everyone to do.
Get your stuff done. Get your stuff done. They're waiting on you.
Do it all once more. Watch me. I'm going to show you the next two parts right here.
thank you for tuning in to Radio Retrofuture. I'll bid you adieu. So yeah, with this, I'm gonna welcome you back again to the second part of my interview with John Sprocket. So in the last episode, we talked about The Cock is Dead, and right now we will talk about John Sprocket personal projects, because there are quite a few other things that you do, isn't there, John?
I'm always busy with something. Yeah.
Could you give us a summary of what you do?
Sure. I know the main thing that takes up my time, which is also another job and passion of mine, is voice acting, and that's basically what I'm doing, on a regular basis, 9 to 5, when I'm not doing music. So I do voiceover for commercials, both locally and some nationally, internationally, and I do character voices for animation, for independent video games, and pretty much anything else that I can book. So I've done a lot of apps, such as My Little Pony and Transformers Rescue Bots, and a couple of TV shows, a few things here and there. So I'm basically an actor, and I do it all in my home studio here. Just whatever I can do with my voice.
So how many voices can you do? A rough estimate.
I don't know. It's weird. I feel like I'm always trying new things. I know as far as credits go, I've probably got a few hundred different jobs that I've done over the past few years. Some are just in my normal voice. Some are as characters, but I'm always trying to be flexible and expand my range.
Mm-hmm. So what's what's your biggest achievement? Like, is there or has there been or will there be a role for you that's like, yeah, that's what I want to do?
Oh man, I don't know. I would love to do broadcast animation. That, you know, a regular character on a TV show would always be a dream project, or characters in a major video game. Those are usually more for union actors, and I know I'm not based in LA or anything like that. So,
right.
But I have managed to book quite a few jobs that I never expected when I started to actually be able to do from a home studio. I was the voice of Chuck E. Cheese for a series of ads in Dubai when they opened a new restaurant. I was the let's see, I was on the History Channel on a documentary about D-Day. Just recently, there's a show on True TV called Adam Ruins Everything. I was in a couple episodes of the current second season, voicing a few animated characters. So I've done that. I've done mentioned My Little Pony and Transformers apps. I was the voice of Spider-Man and Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy and a couple of Marvel apps. So it's been exciting getting these roles that are fairly iconic roles. The game Clash Royale from Supercell, who makes Clash of Clans. I'm a few characters in that, and that's mostly just battle noises because it's just kind of a fighting game. So there's a whole lot of just clip the mic there a little bit, but normally I have my gain down or I have a compressor on there, but
yeah, your voice.
I do a lot of screaming.
Well, yeah, it's I don't know how did it come about? Did that happen by coincidence, or was it something you really wanted to do?
It's something I always thought was really cool. I guess when I was a kid, I'd watch behind the scenes features on movies like the Disney movies, and they show the actors recording their lines. And so I've always loved animation. I've always loved acting and video, and I think every aspect of entertainment and multimedia. From the time I was a kid, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be able to draw. I wanted to be an actor or comedian. I wanted to be a filmmaker. And so all of these were things that I pursued even as a kid. I made movies, homemade movies with a excuse me, I'd take a camcorder and make videos. I would do animation, stop motion animation with the camera. So it's always been an interest of mine, I guess. And it's not something I thought I would actually be able to legitimately get work doing, because I thought you had to have an agent, you had to be in LA or New York or somewhere where the animation is being done, you had to get to a studio. There was so much involved. So things have really, really changed in recent years with home recording equipment. I mean, people can afford to buy, this is only $100 mic. You can get a microphone and an interface, have a decent quality recording. I've treated my room for sound. You can't see too well. I mean, I've got some curtains and the room's carpeted.
Yeah.
I have a booth where I record. But everything is so much more affordable, and so many people are casting online. So now you can get hired for a job and do it from home because of the connection we have now with the internet. Even like right now over Skype, I've done several jobs, including the Chuck E. Cheese and Clash Royale, where you're working with people in Dubai or the Netherlands, and they're directing you, so you can have a live directed session with your director anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So that's made it possible, and so that's been really exciting, being able to get into this career that I thought was really, really exciting, but not something attainable for someone living out here in Florida.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. Well, actually, I got invited to do a voice for a gaming mod. So I hope to get that going in December. I have a question about that. But first, a question of Brian Oliver, who's probably baiting you right now. Can you do Optimus Prime or Megatron?
Ooh, I don't know. Let's see. I auditioned for Optimus Prime for the app, and I didn't get it. Trying to remember. I could give it a shot, yeah, but I wish I was more familiar with the Transformers characters. But yeah, I think my audition, I did something like, "This is Optimus Prime." Man, my voice is really messed up. Right now.
Yeah, you did have a cold, so.
Folks, roll out. If I worked on it, maybe, but yeah.
Right. Oh, who knows? Maybe you can redeem yourself at some point.
That's the problem. I haven't been able to work all week because my voice. I had a sore throat and I couldn't speak for a couple of days, so I need to get back in because I have bills to pay and I need to get back to work.
Well, okay. Yeah, but like I said, I'm asked to do some voice acting soon myself. So I was kind of wondering, what kind of tips can you give to people who are starting out?
I know I say in general, well, most people like voice actors say, when it comes to voice acting, the number one thing is that it is acting. It's not just being able to do voices, but it's being able to become a character and be believable and emote and deliver the line in whatever emotion and context it's needed to be in. I'm not I don't have a huge acting background, but I've always had a passion for acting and performing. So going back to making those videos as kids, and then I got into theater in high school and did several plays. I've done on-camera work in independent films. So even before getting into voice acting, I was already acting in other capacities. So even just having a basic understanding of how to perform and how to deliver a line is a big help. And getting comfortable with your own voice and how you sound, learning how to control it. And those are, I guess, just general voice acting or voiceover techniques or things to get started in. As far as pursuing it, what I did, even before booking any paid work, I was looking around online for just anyone that was looking to cast people in any sort of project. And I found a site or a forum called Voice Acting Club on Pro Boards. Oh. And it's an online forum basically for people who are looking for voice actors for their projects. They're usually internet cartoons. They're a whole variety of different projects. People are making independent games or cartoons for YouTube or Flash cartoons or whatever they may be. And some of my earliest voice acting experience came through that. And you never know who you're going to meet on there, because I also have made connections through there. And a project I did years ago through Voice Acting Club, which was a non-paid project I just did for fun. One of the other cast members, named Devin Mack, has gone on to be a professional voice actor in Canada and a casting director. He was the casting director for a video game called Dust: An Elysian Tale, which was an Xbox 360 release in 2012.
I heard very good things about it.
It's a fun game, yeah.
And made by one guy, I think.
Yeah.
Just one guy made a better game than most AAA publishers can get.
Yeah, it's got gorgeous animation and graphics. It's all a 2D, like hand-drawn, side-scrolling. Yeah, really cool game. But I got a role in the game because he remembered me from that cartoon we did together on the voice acting forum years ago, and just asked me to audition, and I got a part on there. And that game, got the Xbox release. It actually got nominated that year for a video game award on Spike TV. It was nominated for Independent Game of the Year. So that was my first official video game, and since then I've done several other little projects. So it's a good way to start. And regardless, there are plenty of good resume pieces as you go and do several cartoons or whatever projects you do through there, you gain experience. You have things to add to a demo reel. So yeah, that's a good way to start. And then from there, probably contacting local radio stations or local people. I do a lot of work locally for concert venues here. That came about because I did a concert with The Cog is Dead locally, and I made a promo for it, and somebody saw it that was working there and said, this is better than what the local cable company did for us. Do you mind doing some ads for us? So from then, I've been doing, I think the past 2 years, a lot of local commercials for the concert venues. So there's that, and of course there are voice casting sites like voices.com, voice123. Trying to remember, there are a lot of them out there now, but those are the pay to play sites where you pay for a membership, and that allows you to audition for the jobs. I've gotten a lot of work through voices.com. The competition is pretty steep. There's a lot of, I think there are over 200,000 voiceover talents that are members of the site now. But you get regular opportunities to audition, and you can customize it so that you audition for projects that are suited for you. If you fill out your profile as far as your voice type, age range, language, all of your details, it will send you auditions that match you and your voice ability. And that's the site where I booked a lot of those jobs, the TV shows and a lot of the apps and projects. Most of the biggest jobs that I've gotten have been cast through there.
Okay. Well, for any aspiring voice actor, I'm sure it is very valuable information. Would you consider doing some voice acting tutorials on your own YouTube channel?
Probably. I've thought about. I know I have a YouTube channel for my voiceover as well. It's not a very. It doesn't have a ton of content right now. There are a few clips of me recording and things like that, but I've considered putting some voiceover tips out there. I think part of the reason I haven't done it right now is because there are so many other people out there that also have put really good advice out.
Yeah.
For instance, Bill DeWeese has probably the highest viewed YouTube channel for voiceover. He's a guy who has been working full-time as a voice actor now for a few years, and just did it completely on his own, and he shares advice, and I followed a lot of his advice, including how to get equipment, how to market yourself.
He might actually,
he's got
he might actually be the one who advised me to get this stuff I've got right here. Yeah.
possibly, yeah.
So, yeah, I also got a lot of my information already from YouTube. Just curious if you are going to do something similar, maybe market or specifically through retrofuturism or steampunk. But
yeah, I could at some point. I wouldn't mind doing it if I have the time. I have so many different things, especially now with the Patreon thing, which I'll get into soon too. But yeah, with so many different things going on each week.
So you've got a YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, I just started a John Sprocket YouTube channel, and the whole point of that is basically just so I can make more music. I've had a lot of song ideas for years. I've come up with ideas for songs. I'm like, oh, I kind of like this, and I'd love to write it and release it, but it doesn't quite fit in with the Cog is Dead style, or it doesn't really. I don't think this would go on an album, or for whatever reason, or I want to do a cover of something, but I can't really sell it. So the whole, I think, point of the YouTube channel is that I can write and release additional songs whenever I feel like it. Because with the Cog is Dead, in the past 5 years or so, we've released 3 albums, but there are always at least 2 years in between album releases because it takes a long time to write and record a full album, and a lot of care goes into it. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to recording and stuff, so there are these huge gaps of time in between albums where our fans don't get any new content. And so I thought this would be both a way of getting out more music in addition to the Cog is Dead, as well as something to kind of fulfill me creatively, because I love to write and record songs, and this is a way of letting me sort of exercise my musical muscles regularly. and get music out all the time. Sometimes there'll be covers, sometimes there'll be original songs, and sometimes they may be things that are very different from what would appear on a Cog is Dead album, and it gives me an excuse to write and record and share that song with people, and hopefully, the people will enjoy it, even if it isn't exactly something that works for the Cog is Dead. I mean, it's still my music, and it's still sort of my own musical tastes and sensibilities. So I have a feeling a lot of people will enjoy the stuff that I do, even if there's things that are different. Anyway, but yeah, it's just kind of more creatively fulfilling for me, and a way of getting more music out for people to listen to and try to share it with them.
Do other band members have similar YouTube channels or websites?
In my band?
Yeah.
Or I don't think the other band members have things. I know Renata has been wanting for a while to create a YouTube channel with drum covers, where videos of her playing the drums and doing covers of certain songs. So that's a goal that she has and plans to do in the future when she has the ability to do it. I don't think they have any channels just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the future they will.
Okay. Any idea what your next video is going to be?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm working on. I've got a few different ideas, and I have a few different songs already in the works. But yeah, that's the other fun thing about this channel is it's kind of spontaneous. I feel like whenever inspiration strikes me, I can just sit down, write, record, film a video in the studio, and get it out. So I don't know 100% for sure, because it is kind of random and just whatever passing whim strikes me. But I have a few ideas for some videos that'll be coming up.
All right, and now it's time to talk about your Patreon, because you excuse me, you also started with that. You also put on exclusive music for those who support you on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I started and I did it right around the same time, the Patreon page. And for those who are unfamiliar with Patreon is a way for people to support artists that they like by giving them monthly donations. And this in turn allows artists like me to be able to keep doing what we do, because it's not the most lucrative career being a musician. It's fun. It's something that we enjoy, and it's something that we love seeing our fans enjoy. So it's all a passion project, but it doesn't always pay all the bills. And so Patreon is a way for fans to basically support their artists so that they can spend more time doing what they do best. And so if I know that patrons are helping to support me, that means that will help keep the electricity on in the studio so that I can keep recording, things like that. So it's a really wonderful way for fans to kind of give back to the artists that give to them. So in return, I continue to write new music every month, which goes on both the YouTube channel and Patreon. If you are a patron, you get the music early, and I occasionally will release songs and tracks that are only available on Patreon. There are a few other little rewards too, such as some of the higher ones, getting song tutorials on how to play songs, or rare unreleased tracks that aren't available anywhere else. A few other different things, a one-on-one Skype conversation where I can connect with you personally and play a few songs. And anyway, but yeah, the Patreon page is basically something new, and so far I've been really thankful to the patrons that have joined up to help. And if anyone's interested, you can sign up too at patreon.com/John Sprocket, and keep up to date on all the stuff that I'm working on. And I'll keep also posting stuff about stuff I'm doing with the Cog is Dead. The Patreon feed's full of little extra content, and I'm going to keep people posted on there exclusively. So it's a good way to kind of be a part of the community and conversation when it comes to the music that I'm working on, and whatever projects I'm working on. And if anyone has suggestions too, I don't know. We'll kind of see where it goes. I've just started, but I'm excited and looking forward to making lots more music as the time goes on.
Okay. Well, all the links to John's Patreon will be in the description of the edited version of this video. Yeah, is there anything else you'd like to talk about or ask me? That's also possible.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Okay.
I was just sitting here prepared to answer. I'll answer any questions that come my way, but I'm kind of a blank slate right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Are there any questions from the listeners? Because that's also a possibility, but I haven't seen. Or did I miss anything? No, I didn't miss anything. The last question was if you could do the Optimus Prime or Megatron voice. So, yeah, and with that, I can't think of anything either. And we were, let's see, what's the time? Yeah, I think we've got a nice episode right here. So, yeah, Brian says he just had to troll you. Thank you for your contribution, Brian.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, yeah, I think it's time for your words of inspiration. Do you have any? Or you could play us out. That's fine too.
As far as words of inspiration go, I will say that I'm extremely thankful and grateful still every day that I get to do something that I am passionate about and that I enjoy doing. And that kind of goes back to just things that I've had interest in from the time I was really young. I think what's been exciting for me is the fact that I feel I'm a big fan of Back to the Future, and I've always loved the quote that Marty McFly says to George in the first movie where he says, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. And I've always kind of kept that as a motto for myself. And I feel like really, I think anything that you really want to achieve, if you really put your mind to it and make it a passion and a determination, you can achieve that to an extent. I mean, I've never sought fame. I've never sought, fame and fortune and grand things, but I've sought things that I enjoy doing. I've always loved music. I've always loved art. I've always loved acting. And so all of these things have been various pursuits of mine that I've done out of the passion of doing it. And because of that, I have been able to enjoy so many different things. I've been able to write music and share it with people, and I've gotten positive feedback from it, and the band has gained fans. I've loved acting, and I've been able to become a voice actor professionally. I'm not famous. I'm not anyone, I'm not wealthy. But the thing is, I have been able to achieve so many things that I've always wanted to do, and I get to do what I love. And so I think it all kind of comes down to that. If you can do what you love and you love what you do, that's really the most important thing. And so if you pursue things that way, I think you will find success, much more than if you just pursue something for fame and fortune. So if you have any passion for anything, I'd say, stick with it, because it is rewarding in the end, as long as you do it for the love of doing it and do what makes you happy.
Okay, wonderful. I did just think of another question I wanted to ask you, but I'm gonna splice during the editing. Are there any ambitions you would like to do what you're not doing right now? Do you really would like to act, for example?
Sure, I guess I would love to do more acting on camera. I used to do a lot more beforehand. It's been a while, but I do love acting and playing characters. So I wouldn't mind doing more work in films. I'm sure there are probably several little things that I just either don't have the time to pursue. That's usually the thing. I love drawing and doing different kinds of art and animation. I've had ideas for animated cartoon series in the past, and I really wanted to work on one a while ago and just never had the time. So if I could, I would love to do that. I would love to do several different things. Yeah, so animation and on-screen acting and learning to compose. At one point, I wanted to do music for films. I think for a lot of people that are, I guess, creative minded, you have so many ideas that you would love to do if you had the time. The thing is, we just don't have enough time to do everything.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm thankful that I'm able to do what I do, and am able to get by enough to, not be out on the street and still at least pay the bills. So that's yeah, that's. I lost my train of thought, but
No, that's good. So you also draw and animate?
a little bit. Again, I wish I had more time for that. But I've done a little bit of animation and drawing, and yeah, I'm trying to see. I've got a drawing. Actually, I don't know if I should post this public. I can show. I'm working on a wedding gift for some friends of mine that just got married, and it's probably.
Okay. It looks
too
good.
bright.
It's oh yeah,
Too bright
there
to
we go.
see.
Now we can
There we
see
go.
clearly. Yes, looks great. Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
You truly are a man of many talents.
Oh, thank you. It's again, like I said, but the drawing thing has just been when I was a kid. I liked to draw from an early age, so I've always just done that in my spare time. I'm not an excellent artist, but the more you do something, the more you refine your skills. So, like I've said, in every aspect of things that I've been interested in, I have pursued it to a degree and gotten better at it only through determination and perseverance and time and practice.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was really my last question. So yes, please tell us how people can support you and the cock is dead. We haven't had that yet.
Sure. Well, as far as supporting the Cog is Dead, a big thing is obviously coming to concerts, because when we travel to concerts, we all get paid for the performances and things like that. You can support by buying the music, buying the merchandise. Those are kind of the main ways, and of course you can become a patron on Patreon, which both supports me personally, but also supports the studio that we record in, because we all the things, not just my own personal things, but all of the music for The Cog is Dead is written and recorded here in this room, and so the Patreon keeps that going. And did you want links, or what did you?
I'll put the links all down below.
Yeah.
All relevant links will
Like
be down in
the
the
website and
description.
Facebook and
Yes,
Twitter
exactly.
and all that.
So just send them to me, and I will put them down there.
Sure.
So yeah, if that was all, I'm gonna finish to my not as inspirational words, but yeah. So welcome people, and thank you for tuning in to Radio Retrofuture. There's been a lot of live viewers today, so I'm really grateful for that, and thank you, John, for attending. And
Oh, yeah.
yes, with that, I think I'll bid you adieu. Yes, of course, consider also supporting Radio Retrofuture on Patreon as well. Yeah, everyone who supports the show gets a mention in the credits, and will get things like these live interviews to see before anyone else does, and also some behind the scenes information of what I'm doing right now. So yeah, some things are coming up, so it's gonna be an exciting time for me, because I'm gonna do some new stuff, as some people that are in the chat already know. Still, yes, with that I bid you adieu, and as always, make it your way. Good night.